The Arizona Corporation Commission Senior Security Seminar now continues.
Hello, I'm Arizona Corporation Commissioner Randy Tobin, and welcome to part 2 of our 3-part Arizona Senior Security Series. We're introducing you to some of the agencies which work collectively to protect seniors against fraud and offering some important tips to avoid becoming a victim. Right now, we'll hear from representatives from the Department of Insurance. We'll start with Erin Klug, who handles the department's media relations.
My name is Erin Klug. I'm with the Arizona Department of Insurance. I'm going to start off by telling you what the Department of Insurance is and what we do. A lot of folks don't know what we do. We get a lot of calls from the public asking, can you tell me, I was in a car accident with somebody, and can you tell me who their insurance is? No, we can't. We get calls from folks who whose parents had a life insurance policy and they're trying to figure out what company they had a policy with. We don't keep track of who has insurance with what company. Our job is to license insurance agents and insurance companies, and then to try to make sure that they're all behaving themselves and complying with the laws of the state. So I'm going to give you some examples of the kinds of instances where you would want to contact the Department of Insurance. So for instance, if you think that somebody is being taken advantage of by an insurance agent, maybe you have a neighbor, an elderly widow neighbor, who's telling you a story about how an insurance agent came to her home and wouldn't leave, was just very, very insistent, using high-pressure sales tactics, wouldn't leave until she bought an insurance policy. That would be something you would want to contact the Department of Insurance about.
The Department of Insurance helps protect people from fraud. You can contact the department at 602-364-2499 or 800-325-2548, or visit our website at www.insurance.az.gov. You should contact the department if you suspect an insurance agent is taking advantage of someone, if you need assistance getting a refund or a claim paid, to report someone cheating on their insurance, to verify an agent is licensed, or if you have any questions about insurance.
Insurance, like investments, is a very technical, complicated product from time to time. And you can call us and talk to us. If you're shopping for any kind of insurance, we may have resources or be able to direct you to resources to help you do the comparison shopping that's so important when you're buying an insurance product. Let's talk a bit about comparison shopping. We all know it's important to comparison shop when we're buying a television, say, or a car. We're going to talk about comparison shopping with insurance, but first let's talk about why it's important to comparison shop. If you're shopping for a television set, you want to make sure that you're getting a good price, right? You want to compare a whole bunch of different televisions, different brands, and you do that by looking for the product at different stores. You might go to several different stores, you might go online and compare products, and you're not just comparing the price though, you're also comparing the functionality of the TV, what it can do. You're comparing the quality of the picture. It's easy to compare a television to another television, right? It's a tangible item. Not quite so easy to compare an insurance policy to another insurance policy, because now we're talking about comparing contracts. So you're really comparing the terms of one contract to another contract. But it's still a contract, and you need to make sure that you understand the terms of those contracts. So comparison shopping is the first step to making sure that you get the best price, the best service, and the best product that suits your needs.
When shopping for an insurance product, beware of some red flags that might be indicative of a scam. Those red flags include an agent who gives a vague or sketchy sales pitch, doesn't answer your questions directly, doesn't inform you about policy exclusions or limitations, doesn't leave any literature about the policy, doesn't ask questions to determine if the product is appropriate, shows up unexpectedly claiming to have an appointment, pressures you to buy immediately.
I just kind of want to highlight that the things that we're talking about here today are a little bit scary, and by far there are thousands of insurance transactions that go on day in and day out that happen without a hitch, and the individuals selling that insurance are professionals, they're ethical, and they do have their clients' best interests at heart. But from time to time you run into somebody who doesn't, And so these red flags are to help you kind of ferret out those circumstances. Insurance shopping is a little different than TV shopping. It's a much more personal business transaction. When you're buying a television, you're standing in the big box store and you're looking at a bank of TVs and you're looking at the color and you're talking to a salesperson. It's pretty obvious that it's a business transaction, right? Well, a lot of insurance transactions take place in your home. The insurance agent comes to visit you and they're sitting at your kitchen table. It's a much more personal transaction, and there's a lot more trust that goes into that transaction. Those cold calls are not uncommon. And I can tell you in my household, my husband and I have a practice, we just don't deal with cold calls. We don't deal with door-to-door salesmen. If we're shopping for something or looking for a service, we do the research beforehand. And so when we get door-to-door salesmen, our standard practice is just to say, you know, if you'd like to leave some literature with me or your business card, I'd be happy to look it over and call you if I'm interested. And that's it. So that's our practice, and it has helped us a lot. Another thing that we hear from consumers, and I alluded to this at the outset, is high-pressure sales tactics. If an insurance agent is sitting at your kitchen table and telling you, you know, you really need to buy this insurance today. The prices are going up tomorrow. I can't guarantee that this product will be available tomorrow. That's a big red flag, because I think a lot of salesmen in general know that if they don't make the sale today, they're less likely to make the sale. So they really put on the pressure to get you to buy a product right now. We've even heard from folks who have said, I couldn't get the agent to leave until I bought a policy. I thought the only way I was going to get this individual out of my house was to buy a policy. Well, one of the tips I'll give you a little bit later is about free look periods. So if you are even in that situation, you can get some assistance after the fact. But just be mindful. Most, by and large, you know, insurance agents are professionals and they won't be doing this. But if you start feeling that kind of pressure, you to be mindful. And one of the tips that we have for folks is to have somebody with you during these sales presentations, because that can help in those situations as well.
Other warning signs include agents who make frequent social calls or offers to run errands for you, asks for a personal loan, advises you to liquidate large, solid investments, returns repeatedly to sell you replacement policies.
There's a practice called churning or twisting, and that's when an insurance agent comes and repeatedly tries to get you to switch policies. And we see this with life insurance. We've seen it with other kinds of annuities, occasionally with health insurance, but not so much with health insurance. So they might come out every few months, every 6 months, once a year. They come out and they say, oh, I've got the next best product for you, and this is going to do a much better job for you. In some cases that may be true, but in some cases the agent is motivated by the difference in commissions. The commission for a replacement policy, for a new policy that they're selling to replace your old one, may be higher than the commission they receive on a renewal of your policy. So keep in mind that constantly replacing or selling you new products may not be in your best interest either.
Buying insurance is a business transaction. Read shopper's guidelines and outlines of coverage. Ask questions during and after the sales presentation. An informed, engaged shopper is less of a target. Have someone with you during the sales presentations. Take notes. Read the policy when it arrives.
It's really important to read that contract and see if it lines up with the notes you took during the sales presentation, and see if it lines up with what was represented to you during the sales presentation. And if it doesn't, several types of insurance have what's called a free look period. Free look periods are, for long-term care, it's 30 days. For Medicare supplement, it's 30 days. For annuities, if you're over the age of 65, it's 30 days. So that means when you get that insurance policy, you have 30 days to read the contract and decide if it meets your needs and if it lives up to your expectations. And if it doesn't, you can return it to the insurance company with no questions asked, and they'll give you a full refund for those products. So take advantage of those free look periods.
In addition, taking advantage of the free look period Make sure you keep sales materials and your notes from the presentation. Never pay in cash. Make the check payable to the company, not the individual agent. If you don't receive your policy in the mail within 30 days, call the insurance company to make sure the money was properly handled. Contact the Department of Insurance if you need help.
Don't succumb to high-pressure sales tactics. I know it's difficult, but as Terry from the Securities Division said a little while ago, have that rejection speech in mind so you know what you're going to say if somebody is really pressuring you to buy. Kind of rehearse that ahead of time before you're actually in the sales transaction. And the last tip I'll give you is, please contact the Department of Insurance. That's what we're here for. We're a state agency, and our job is to try to make sure that the folks we license are doing the things they should be doing and not doing the things they shouldn't. So please don't hesitate to contact the Arizona Department of Insurance.
We'll now hear from a special agent with the Department of Insurance who has a unique perspective in the types of insurance fraud schemes that are taking place right now and what you should know.
My name is Samantha Kailish, and I'm a special agent with the Department of Insurance Fraud Investigation Unit. I work for the state of Arizona, and we are based in Phoenix, Arizona. We work all over the state conducting criminal investigations. We are a small unit comprising of 8 sworn peace officers with full police authority. We work for the state, and even though we investigate insurance fraud, we are by no means employed by the insurance industry.
What is insurance fraud? Insurance fraud is when you make any false statement to the insurance company, either verbally or in written statements, in reference to an insurance claim or policy. Even an attempted insurance fraud, where no money is received from the insurance company, is a felony. There are several types of insurance fraud involving vehicles, residential restoration companies, medical and workmen's compensation, restoration companies, agent fraud, slip and falls, and arson.
By the way, Arizona is ranked 8 in the nation for auto theft, so it's definitely a problem. We work closely with the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority to educate, prevent, and organize and catch organized auto theft in Arizona. So to make double killing, some criminals report their vehicles stolen and actually sell them, mostly south of the border, collecting that money, and then report that vehicle stolen to their insurance company, collecting double. We as law enforcement have many ways to detect this and are very successful in doing so. Some people also report their vehicles as stolen and actually take them to the desert and burn them. We are also very good at catching that. Accident rings. Another way criminals can target your vehicle is by causing an accident with your vehicle. This is called a staged accident. This can happen in many different ways. When you're driving along, usually at slow speed, a vehicle in front of you can suddenly jam their brakes on, and typically we don't leave enough distance between ourselves and the car in front of us. We collide with that car, usually causing an accident, but pretty minimal damage. You, because you hit them from behind and you failed to control your speed to avoid a collision, are going to be cited. You are deemed at that point the at-fault driver. When the insurance fraud happens is that the people in the vehicle that have been hit are going to claim that they've got back injuries, neck injuries, and basically exaggerated injuries for that speed of an accident. To kind of avoid being a victim of that type of crime, it's important to call the police if that accident happened on the roadway, so that those individuals can be documented and names and addresses and insurance information can be exchanged at that time. These schemes are usually pretty elaborate, and they can involve multiple witnesses and even other vehicles that can come in and help cause the accident and actually leave the scene. So it does kind of seem to you like it was an actual real accident. To avoid this, it's best to try not to tailgate, even at low speeds when you feel like it's safe, or on the freeway it happens a lot as well. And make sure that's distance between your vehicle and the next vehicle is at least 1 to 1.5 vehicles lengths at the very minimum. If you can take any photographs of the damage that was caused at the accident of your car and of the other vehicle, that helps when, you know, a couple of days later the other driver calls the insurance company claiming that, you know, there's much more extensive damage that happened, or they can add in drivers or passengers, and suddenly that, you know, two-person car in front of you that had 2 people in it now has 4 people in it, and everybody has injuries. And much like the accident, those injuries are going to be very exaggerated. Another way vehicles can be used for insurance fraud is personal insurance. Personal injury. This can often occur, say, in a parking lot of Walgreens or CVS, or even at your large box stores, when, say, a busy mum is rushing out of the store with her children, gets into the car, it's hot, we want to get going, or it's an elderly person, maybe struggling with some groceries, not really paying attention to anything around us. We just want to get in our cars, get it started, and get the AC running. What we find that people are doing is they're getting in their cars and they're racing off. They just want to get out of that parking lot and get the AC going. But if you can imagine, as they're backing up, bam, they hear a thump, they jam their brakes on, get out of their vehicle and take a look. And what do they see? They see somebody laying on the floor behind their vehicle, and you think you've run somebody over or hit somebody. So, you know, what do you do then? You immediately call 911. Even if that person says they're not injured and it's fine, and don't call the police and I'm fine, let's just do this and I'll exchange my information. I feel like I don't have anything wrong with me. Think about it like, if you call the police, that incident's going to be documented. That person's name's going to be in a report. Ambulance is going to be called. If they want to decline medical treatment, then that's up to them at that time. But you've done the right thing by calling the police to report it, so it's not a hit and run accident, so they can't later say that you struck them in the parking lot and drove off. Because that's what we're finding, is people say that, you know, the insurance companies are saying, well, they said that the driver drove off and they got their license plate. And the driver will admit to being there and that they hit the person, but they said that the person didn't want any further exchange. Then that goes into the person that has the injuries. So if you document that by calling the police and the fire department, they can come and assess the person's injuries, get their name, their real identification, and then you have that report to go from. Make sure you collect that report too from the police. They'll give you a number and you can get that. While you're there, what's a good way to help yourself out of that situation? Take a look around, see if anybody else noticed it. Did anybody else come to your assistance or come to the individual that got hurt's assistance? Were there any video cameras or surveillance footage being taken in that area? Nearly everything is being recorded these days, so take a look and see if anybody is with their cell phone. And while you're at it, take a picture of the person, take a picture of your car, take a picture of the location that you're at so it's documented. I'm by no means saying that every accident that you're involved in is a person trying to make a quick dollar, or every person that you hit in the parking lot is a scam. That's not true. I'm just trying to make you aware that these are the common things that we're finding, and that's the way that people are getting scammed and becoming victims of insurance fraud. When it comes to vehicles, also beware of salespeople. When they approach you at a car wash or you're getting solicited over the phone, people come door to door, perhaps telling you that they want to replace the cost of your windshield. You've got a crack in your windshield. We can replace it for you with no out-of-pocket costs. Whether that may be true, they're often not the most legitimate way to get business from glass sales. These companies tend to be less reputable that use these sales tactics. If you're going to replace your glass or it needs replacing, go directly to the glass dealer and try not talk to the second or third hand salespeople. The same activity happens in body shop repairs, where you've maybe been into a minor accident and have some repair damage. Take pictures of that before you take it into the shop, and then you can compare that to what was performed at the shop, and make sure that it is exactly what is done, is exactly what they said they was having done. Insurance companies and law enforcement have ways that we can check out to make sure things are either replaced or fixed in the manner that they said they were. If you feel like that you may have been a victim of that type of crime, please contact your insurance company, who will in turn contact us, or you can contact the Department of Insurance directly.
Medical fraud costs the insurance industry over $90 million per year, costs that get pushed onto the average consumer in increased premiums. To avoid becoming a victim of medical insurance fraud, make insurance payments directly to your insurance company. Review your medical explanation of benefits that is sent to you after receiving care. Don't give out your Medicare or Social Security numbers. Keep track of dates of any medical procedures and appointment history. And follow up on changes in your insurance policy.
Let me quickly cover some of the other ways that you can become a victim of insurance fraud. If you have insurance annuities like Aaron was talking about, if that information suddenly changes and you begin receiving information from a different company with a different name, if you haven't given your insurance agent permission to change that, and he's done so without your knowledge or consent, that's a crime. You need to call us. Don't call your insurance agent, just call us directly and we'll check that out for you and make sure that that's been done legitimately. You'll find that you're going to have a large tax bill or a huge loss of return. Sadly, as with any industry, there are some bad apples, and that goes true for insurance agents too. They're going to receive a commission when they change those annuities over, and usually at your loss. If you have secondary medical coverage, say you notice that prescriptions that you used to have covered are no longer covered, or you're getting billed for a doctor's appointment when that was previously covered, call us and the insurance company and ask questions. Why is this so? Why is my insurance coverage not covering this now? Why has my copay gone up? Or if you notice anything, give us a call. There are a lot of insurance frauds out there. One of the ones that we find of a more simple criminal element are called slip and falls. This is when a person, usually at a restroom or going into the entranceway of a department store, pretends to slip and fall down, causing themselves injury. These are staged incidents, and we need the public to be able to speak up or act as witnesses when you see something like that happen. Don't just kind of ignore that type of stuff. If you think something suspicious going on, let the business owner know as well. Don't be afraid to give your number or contact information to the business to let them know that you witnessed that. Let's switch gears quickly and talk about who commits insurance fraud. Insurance fraud has no age, race, or gender. Let me be clear, it is committed by criminals. Insurance fraud is a felony. Even at its lowest level, it's still a felony. Even when attempted insurance fraud, when you receive no money back from the insurance company, it's still a felony. Some people have the mentality that an insurance company somehow owes them money. They've been paying premiums for the last X amount of years and have made no claims. They're due that money back. Don't be one of these people that are tempted into thinking that making a few extra dollars that way is going to benefit you. It's really not. Adding a few items to your burglary, or saying that your house was flooded when in fact you took a hose to the inside of your house just because you wanted a new carpet with insurance money, it's not worth it. We will catch you. I've arrested people who have felt that they're entitled to some of that money back. It's not a savings account, it's an insurance plan to be there when the worst case scenario happens. Insurance companies lose millions of dollars each year on false claims, and because of that, they employ engineers, mechanical engineers, arson experts, and private investigators to write their reports and investigate these cases before I even get it placed on my desk. By the time it's handed to me, I usually have a pretty good case of insurance fraud before I even start my own investigation. At the end of the day, insurance fraud costs us all. For every criminal that commits insurance fraud, you and I foot their bill. Our premiums are going up. And when the criminal brags about ripping off their insurance company, they're ripping off you and me. Insurance is a felony. If you see it, you've got to speak up. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
That's great information, and I'm glad we've been able to share it with you. Be sure to check out Part 1 and 3 in the Arizona Senior Security Seminar if you haven't already. Before we wrap up, I'd like to thank NAU, Blue Cross Blue Shield Arizona, Governor Doug Ducey, and the Arizona Home Health Nursing Association. Thank you again. I'm Commissioner Randy Tobin, and stay safe.